Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Automate Office Work. I'm your host, Justin. Today's episode is Tools That Make Tools. We're going to take our automating skills up a higher level, and we're going to talk about it. And I have a guest today, Sarav. Sarav, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name's Sarav. I work in the legal field. Most recently, I worked at Applied AI as its head of legal for 3.5 years. Applied AI is a UAE-based enterprise AI startup that serves customers in the UAE and globally. I'm currently a senior advisor there, and I'm interested in the conversation.
Oh, nice. All right. So, do you have experience with this topic? Like, people really enjoy making the tools, but if you just stay at the level of like making the hammers, there's a whole other level, right?
Yeah,
That people never think of.
yeah, I've never
That's
really gone agentic before. Claude Opus is my level of expertise. I've never gone agentic, but interested to hear more.
ah, all right. So yeah, I have some thoughts written out, so I'm just going to expand them on my screen here. Yeah, tools that make tools. So instead of building individual tools, because I know I do get it that there's like a dopamine hit that comes from like making your own tool, making your own automation. It feels so nice that you just automated a very specific scenario and you never have to do it again. But what are the chances that the next scenario is going to be the exact same steps? It's often that things happen and they're slightly different. So if you take this approach of like building your own tool every single time, eventually you're going to have hundreds and thousands of these automations like that are slightly different from each other. And that's a whole other issue of maintaining all of these things. Like if anything breaks or changes, or even if you get like a new kind of an AI tool, you then have to go integrate it into hundreds and thousands of tools that you already built. So like there's a level of maintenance here. What do you think, Saraf?
Yeah, I mean, you can save instructions into AI tools, but that doesn't do the full job that you're talking about. I think that if you could have tools that make tools, it makes your job a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. All right. I have an example here of generating a report. So you automate a report that gets generated from new data each week. Your boss wants it in a certain format. So you customize it to that exact format that your boss wants. But then someone else wants the same report, but in a slightly different format and with certain data hidden and other data emphasized. So you copy the original automation and tweak that. And then more
Mhm.
people come with similar requests. And after a while, you become the report generation person. You now have to manually create and tweak and maintain and update literally hundreds of these report generation automations. The better way is to go up a level, tools that make tools. So instead of building individual reports, you build a report generation tool, a platform for building any report. And yeah, okay, I'm going through my script. You're going through. Okay, so the solution to this is instead of being stuck building and customizing and maintaining and updating data reports, the simple trick is you don't just build one report, you build all of them. You build something that encompasses all possible reports, every single possible report. You build the tool that generates all of these possible reports. So we have to start out by thinking, oh, well, originally you were thinking, I have some data points that I need to send to my manager, and he needs to see them in a certain order, in a certain format. But instead, we can go up a level and we think in the abstract. What is a report? What are all the possible things that make up a report? A report is made up of a set of data points coming from a collection of data sources. So now you see it doesn't matter the specific data points or the specific data sources. You just know you have a set of them coming from a set of data sources, and you have a user who wants to see them in a certain order in their preferred format. That's it. Now that's every single possible report imaginable. You can now go build a report platform. each user can request a report at whatever frequency they want, showing them whatever data points from data sources that interest them. So then instead of building custom reports for every single person, you just tell each person, go to this platform and you specify what you want in that report. It will create it for you, right? So now you're not the report generation person. You're building at a whole other level. I'm wondering, Sarav, did you have, like you said, you worked with an AI kind of a company. Did they offer some kind of an AI solution to people, and how customizable was that? Like, did you guys have to set it up, or was it like a blank tool and was it on the user's responsibility to set it up?
So Applied AI started off in a couple of different verticals, healthcare, insurance, and fintech KYC mainly. More recently, it's moved towards a horizontal platform called opus.com. And what that does is it lets users self-serve and generate their own workflows with a human in the loop. It's meant to be self-service, but what we found in experience is that a lot of customers still prefer to pay us to set it up for them because they just don't have the expertise or the knowledge or the, sorry, my cat is attacking my cables. They just don't have the expertise or the knowledge or the time even to build the workflows themselves, so they'd rather pay someone else to do it for them.
And were you one of these people who was building out individual flows?
No, I was on the legal side, so I didn't get directly involved in the build, but I've seen use cases. For example, they recently signed a partnership with Mubadala, which is a venture capital fund, to streamline due diligence using the Opus platform. So Opus is based on what's called a working knowledge graph, with a couple of pages and archive about it. It uses proprietary graph RAG to generate these workflows based on user inputs. And I think in testing, it was twice as effective as ChatGPT or Claude was at generating these workflows.
All right. So yeah, I'm seeing that this is a bottleneck. If people need help actually coming up with their own workflows, then they need somebody else to help them. Somebody like from your company. From my perspective, if you need then a person to come help you, that's kind of defeating the whole point of automation, right? That that person is the bottleneck. If you need a person to manually go and set it up, they can only set up, it's only one person, and they can only help one other person at a time. So they are your bottleneck. So if you can build your tools in such a way that it gets rid of the need for that person, then you're empowering your people to go build their own workflows.
Yeah.
So I guess what I could see here is like a workflow factory. Like there should be some kind of a system, like.
Well, that's the ironic thing. The system
goes into a workflow.
There's a self-serve platform there, but people are just either they don't have the time, or they don't have the knowledge, or they feel they don't have the knowledge, even if they do have the knowledge, and just feel more comfortable having someone do it for them.
Yeah, but isn't that the promise of AI? Like, why not just get an AI agent that goes through it with them?
Yeah. Hey, we're not complaining. I mean, we bill out our engineers, our solutions architects at significant markups to do that service for people. But that's the thing. Like, if you're the customer, that's an unnecessary expense. If you could do it yourself, if you were comfortable doing it yourself, you'd save yourself a lot of time and money.
Because even like all there's low code, no code kind of workflow automation tools that are already in the market.
Yeah,
and there's only like 5 things that go into a workflow. There's the trigger. When does this actually happen? Is it somebody pushes a button, or is it at a certain time of the day? There's only like 2 kinds of triggers. And then the next things are like inputs, and then there's some kind of a processing of those inputs, like what's the steps, what are the recipes that's being done, and then you have an output, and that's basically a workflow. You only have like 4 or 5 things.
Yeah, I mean, there might be more intermediate steps, but the intermediate steps are just
they would chain together. They would link together.
exactly.
You'd be like, okay, so I need some chocolate to go into my cake. Okay, where's the chocolate? Okay, it's either on hand or I have to go buy it. So you see, it's linking to the next thing. Like, okay, go do the next thing. So you got some chocolate to put into your cake.
Yeah. For example, Applied AI's first use case slash workflow was a product called DeepDoc. And what that did was, as you know, in America, health insurance claims processing is a very laborious process. There's lots of paperwork involved. So what that did was basically used commercial grade LLMs, off the shelf LLMs that were fine tuned to summarize and to organize and summarize unstructured data, unstructured medical reports, everything from charts to physician notes to insurance claims paperwork, all that sort of stuff. And that workflow there's really only 3 steps to it. Someone clicks, I want this summarized, uploads the data is ingested, the data is processed, and the data is output. It's not a complicated workflow, is it?
Mm-mm. Not at all. And so you could apply that to like any kind of a document.
Yeah. I could see it definitely being applied to legal discovery, for example. E-discovery can range. I remember doing one case where we had 80,000 pages worth of documents, and I would have loved to have a summary tool for that. Unfortunately, this was before the age of LLM, so I had to go through it manually. It took a year.
Wow. Yeah. The next example that I have is with intake platforms. Often there's an intake step that needs to be done to get the right data points from your user. Like even if you're using an AI, you need to be able to tell the AI like what are the data points we're collecting here. It needs to have some kind of a script. It can't just be making up a hallucination of what you're trying to gather. So when I was a lawyer, a lot of what we did was these random emails from people all the time. So what I figured out was that we could put an intake form for people to fill out instead of a random email, because the random emails would come in. They have no idea what they're supposed to email to us. And then there's a weeks of conversation back and forth, right? So we set up an intake form, and there was actually an intake form in place for one team, and they were paying like almost $100,000 a year just for an intake form. And I was like, guys, like, let's just build our own, save that money.
Yeah, and like CLMs make their living just taking emails and putting them into an intake system.
Mm-hmm.
And they cost like $1,000 per seat per month and stuff and up.
This is crazy. And in the end, all you have is an intake form for contracts, when contracts is not the only thing that you're working on. You're working on like cybersecurity incidents, like requests from other agencies, and it's not just contracts, right?
Disputes.
So yeah, disputes, customer complaints, all this stuff has to be tracked, and you have to get the right data points and pass it on to the right people, but it's not contracts. So even if you do have a CLM, that's nice. What about everything else? So I started creating these intake forms for different legal teams. And it took me about 10 hours to build like a beautiful one with a beautiful user experience. And then other teams saw it and they started asking me, can you build one for us next? And I thought, I don't want to spend 10 hours every time.
Yeah, you don't need to know coding to do it. I mean, Google Forms is a good first step.
It's a good first step. Yeah. I found that Microsoft Forms wasn't good enough. There was too many limitations. And when the user submitted the data, it just went into an Excel spreadsheet. We didn't need an Excel spreadsheet. We needed like a project management system where you could track like all the further versions of a file and all the comments and all the tasks and approvals. So a flat spreadsheet.
Asana is pretty cheap and cost effective and pretty effective.
So yeah, as I was building this, I did it twice. And I thought, I never want to build one of these again. I'm tired of building the hammer. I don't want to be the intake form guy. So what I did was I went to the higher level of the factory, and I looked to see like, what are all the things that go into an intake form? Like there's a requester, there's some team that owns it, They have a list of people who can review. There's maybe a status to this request that's coming in. And then there's about 10 different question types that are being asked. And that was basically it. I then made it so that anybody could, instead of hard coding every single intake form, I made it so that they could point and click and just ask, just like you would do with Google Forms or Microsoft Forms. So I made it so that the users could point and click around. So then instead of me building this for 10 hours each one, a team would take about an hour and they would point and click and do it around. And then for maintenance, it made it so that if the team ever needed to tweak or change their questions, they could just go and point and click a little bit more. And so I was completely not needed for maintaining these things going forward.
And that's the dream. It's completely self-sustaining.
So yeah, it got me out. So I didn't get stuck being the guy doing this one thing. It allowed me to like solve many things. Yeah. I guess so. Tell me about your experience, Sarav, as you're a lawyer doing your legal work. Did you ever find opportunities where you could empower people, where you could remove yourself from the equation?
Yeah.
Because
So
once you're involved, it's annoying, like doing all this manual stuff.
yeah. So one thing I did was I used DocuSign forms to automate the NDA process. Basically made the entire NDA process self-serve. So as long as we were using our paper, which is legal slang for using our template, the business units could send out NDAs themselves. And there was an added advantage to it, which is when you use DocuSign forms, it goes to the end user, it goes to the counterparty as a finished document, a PDF just to sign. And if you send them a PDF just to sign, they're much less likely to come back with red lines or negotiate things that don't need to be negotiated. NDAs do not need to be negotiated 99% of the time, people. If you're paying a lawyer to negotiate an NDA for you, you're wasting your money 99% of the time. There is the edge case that proves the rule, but most of the time you don't need it.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. Yeah.
And that didn't require any coding, didn't require any AI. And that was a simple web form.
Nope. As I tell people, the technology doesn't really matter. It's more the process that you have to focus on. Once you get the process down, then you can bring in whatever technology makes sense. Maybe you already have something, like you had DocuSign. Other people might have Adobe Sign. Somebody else might have, maybe it makes sense even to do something completely different. Maybe, and also then as technology progresses, because we know the exact process that's being done, you can swap out technology as things go forward, right? So maybe there's like an Opus product for this now that makes sense now. And then in the future, maybe there's something even better.
Yeah.
So I do have...
The pace that automation tools are advancing at, you don't want to be too locked into one system or one product.
But you do need to like map out your process and know what you're doing. You don't necessarily have to be able to code. You just have to be able to describe those steps to somebody. And especially as things are going along, you might be able to describe those steps to an AI tool, and then the AI tool can provide it. Or you might turn to your IT department. And now that you're able to have a discussion with IT, you can let them know what you need, and then they can provide it or go find a provider for you.
Well, process thinking is a surprisingly rare or underutilized skill. Being able to actually step back and describe a process. So I think about how many law firms have full-blown legal ops departments that specialize in that because the lawyers can't or won't.
It's crazy. To me, it's imagination.
Legal ops is a worthwhile investment. If you don't have legal ops, you should have legal ops. But in an ideal world, lawyers will be able to know how to do that themselves.
Yeah, but they don't.
Yeah.
We don't learn this kind of thinking in law school.
No, we learn how to read cases from the 18th century in archaic English. I mean, I went to Oxford, so I was reading cases from the 15th century.
Oh, wow.
It was literally Middle English, not even the same language.
Yeah. Yeah, I studied computers before going to law school because I'm an American. Americans don't go straight to law school.
Yeah.
Americans have to go study something else. So you find like Americans who have studied, I don't know, history and dance, and now they're lawyers. uh,
Australia's moved largely towards that model as well. In Australia, most people going into law do the humanities or do finance first. Very few people do STEM, but I think as time goes on, more and more people will do STEM before going into law.
yeah, it is so helpful because we're all sitting at computers. So if you
Yeah.
know how the computer works, you can make it work with you.
Mhm.
I do think like God bless the marketing people for AI, but they're marketing AI as like this magical thing that will fulfill your wants even when you don't know what you want,
Yeah.
right? And it's like that's not really the best use of it. Like if you actually knew how to code and you knew how to describe what you need, like down to the very smallest detail, you can now get the AI to go do it. It doesn't mean like just because I know how to code doesn't mean I'm not going to use AI. But now that I use AI to give me that code, I'm able to read the code. I can
Well,
read like 100 lines at a time, and it saves me so
apparently,
much time.
apparently, Anthropic's CTO now relies upon Claude Code to write all his code. He doesn't write. He reviews it, but he doesn't write anything himself anymore. And what I found with AI, like I don't know code, but I do know law, and I've used AI for contracts before. It's you need to prompt it right. You need to. It's all goes back to process thinking. You need to prompt it
Uh-huh.
right. You need to understand the process you want to apply. Um, Persona prompting, chain of thought prompting, all that sort of stuff. You need to know how to use the AI effectively, because otherwise you're using a scalpel like a sledgehammer, which doesn't work.
Hmm. Hmm. And what I suggest to people who want to get into using AI is do not just use it for a single solution. So, like an example is if you wanted a map to go from Paris to Berlin, and you just go and you ask ChatGPT, give me a map, the driving directions to go between these 2 points. It doesn't know context. It
Yeah,
doesn't know like, are you in a car? Are you on a train? It
yeah,
doesn't. You haven't told it. You haven't told it the time of the year. And like, even if it knows, like, yeah, we're gonna go right now. Does it have access to like the weather? Maybe there's like a hurricane or something you have to go around. I don't know, or wildfires or
yeah,
construction. It might not have access to construction.
yeah.
And
You need to
if
take into account.
yeah, yeah. And if you're thinking in more of a systems way, like I don't want just a map. I want a machine that makes all the maps, right? Like let's make
Mhm.
Google Docs. So I would suggest that you don't ask for the answer directly. I would say ask for the process that would generate this answer. And then it'll tell you, okay, you need to indicate the start time. Is it the time that we're leaving or is it the time that we're arriving? Like, which one do you care about? What is the mode of transportation? And then it'll tell you like you need to look up weather, you need to look up construction, and maybe there are online databases that actually have that. Like you can hook into an API, right?
Yeah,
So ChatGPT might just hallucinate the construction and the weather, but if you know that there's a database, you can just go check. That is much more efficient than burning through tokens. It's like
yeah.
just look up on the database. Ding. Okay, we got the data. Plug it in. It'll make the map for you. Now you have Google Maps. You don't just have a single map.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll give another example. Like, if you want to draft, like I had to draft a share purchase agreement. It was a hypothetical. It wasn't using actual confidential client data. It was actually for a job interview process, a test case. So I was comfortable putting it into commercial LLMs. If you say draft a share purchase agreement based on this term sheet, you'll get something. But it's going to be very generic. So what I did instead was my first prompt was you are a senior associate at Latham and Watkins Corporate and Commercial Practice. Draft an SPA based on this term sheet. Focus upon X, Y, and Z. And then I did a second pass. Now you're the partner at Latham and Watkins. Review this term sheet and make any necessary amendments. And I did a third pass. You're the general counsel of the client company. Review this term sheet review this agreement from the perspective of the company's general counsel and make any necessary amendments. Then I did a fourth pass, which was Now you're the C-suite of this company, the CFO, the COO, the CEO, review it again and make any comments. And the AI actually had full-blown arguments with itself. Like Ford Opus 4.6. It was like L&W Partners says this, the GC says this, and CFO says this. So the point is, through those arguments you have with it, you come up with a much more refined product. You just say draft an SPA.
Mm-hmm. And it's all about context. Like I always say, if you ask an AI, like, give me the perfect contract doesn't exist. It's going to mean different things to different people. You've got a buyer, you've got a seller, and then they're at different positions in the market of power over the other.
Yeah.
You might have the people in the C-suite have different incentives. They're looking at like money generation. Somebody else is looking at like risk aversion.
Yeah.
They're all different.
Yeah, that's why I'm a fan of persona-based prompting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm looking through my script, see if I missed anything major. Yeah, it's been nice to be able to have a conversation with you as well.
Yeah, it's been great. Pleasure to be here.
Have some banter. So I guess tell me about some more of your experience. Has there been times where you think like, okay, the normal way for lawyers to think is we're going to be manually doing this. I'm going to dig through all this old law, and this is my career now for the next 40 years. But then you're able to think like, well, wait, I have AI. I have tools that can do this for me, right?
Yeah. Well, as you know, I'm currently in the middle of a job search, and what AI has been really helpful for is market research. I'm like, here's my CV, here's the job description, go research this company and give me a deep dive on everything I would need to know as a candidate for the general counsel of this company. And it comes back with a 25-page report with angles I hadn't even thought of. And then you can ask follow-up questions like, oh, I haven't heard of this law before. What does that mean? And it comes back and tells you. And you can just, and Claude, specifically with Claude, like if you ask Claude to do that, it'll go off and work for 30 minutes. It won't just
Claude is the best.
Yeah. It'll go off and work for 30 minutes. You'll go have a coffee, work, whatever, and come back, and there'll be a full, like a report that would have taken you human days ready for you.
Mm-hmm. It's a huge time saver. Whenever I have online meetings with people, I ask them, can I have my note taker take notes? And they're usually agreeable with it. But now that I have a transcript of our entire conversation for like an hour, if you're a potential customer of mine, I didn't have to like take notes the entire time. I could focus only on you. And then I can feed that. I can feed that into a Claude and say, give me a business proposal of all the possible projects that we just discussed. And it gives me everything. It's incredible.
Some of my tools have more AI note takers on them than actual people, because people who can't make it send their note taker for them.
It's also incredibly helpful. Like I'm an entrepreneur. I meet with maybe a dozen clients working on a dozen types of projects, automating all their work. It gets very complex. There's so many issues. I can't hold everything in my head, right? And then it's been a couple of months, and then maybe they email me and they ask me, what are the open issues that we're working on right now? So I can take all of our past conversations, the emails, the transcripts. Of course, I take out any identifying stuff and I have it locked down so that there's no private stuff being leaked to the AI. But I feed it all of this this generic kind of data, and I ask it, where are we at now? And it gives me the answer.
It's really a shame that you can't get an enterprise subscription for one seat, because enterprise subscriptions, they don't use your data for training, they keep it private, and it doesn't cost any more per seat than the regular subscription. Claude Pro and Claude Enterprise cost the same per seat, but you need to buy at least 5 seats to get Enterprise.
Wow.
I'm tempted to just put on a post being like, hey, who wants Enterprise? Let's split a subscription.
Just get 5 of your friends together.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I do think that there's going to have to be, there's an advantage to thinking at this higher level. people who use AI at this higher level are going to have an advantage over those who don't.
Yeah.
Would you
And
agree?
there's plenty of free resources out there. Like I've taken, if you go to Coursera, there's courses from what's the university called? Vanderbilt. Professor at Vanderbilt called, his name's also Justin, funnily. No, his name's Jules White. He's got a bunch of courses out there on prompt engineering that are really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
They're all free. If you want the certificate on your LinkedIn, that's like you pay a subscription. That's like $50 a month. But if you just want to order the course, it's free.
Yeah, we should all be doing this.
I've collected about 45 different Coursera certificates over the past few weeks. I've had time on my hands.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I do have some suggestions to people who want to get to this higher level. One of the first steps that helps you get to the higher level, it's and you kind of alluded to it. You talked about a term sheet. It's kind of like a spreadsheet that has a defined term, and then you have the value for it, and then you're able to give that to the AI, and it can generate whatever based off of your situation. But if you can think of, like, instead of rebuilding every one of your documents from scratch, if you can think like, well, we need this party and then this party, we need this term, we need this start date, this end date, we need this amount of money goes here. If you can think of extracting those data points.
Yeah, and with the size of the context window model modern LLMs have, there's really no excuse not to be using retrieval augmented generation.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can upload a 20-page document and say, based on this, do X, and giving it that context, as you said, is invaluable.
Mm-hmm. But then what you need on the other side also is a template. Mm-hmm. Maybe I heard in your case, you didn't have a template for the shared purchase agreement, but maybe you do already have a template.
Yeah.
So if you can have a bunch of those templates, because I would also imagine that as you're working with shared purchase agreements, the more of them that you do, you probably want them to look kind of the same.
Oh, and shared purchase agreements, like unless you're working in an M&A practice, you're not doing that many that often, particularly in-house. You maybe do a couple a year. But something like employment contracts, which are very standardized templates, if you're hiring 50 people at once, you could just give Claude. You used to be able to do this using custom tools, but now you can do it with an off-the-shelf LLM, I reckon. I haven't tried it, but I think it would work. Give it the template, give it a spreadsheet of here's the employees, here's their salary, here's their start date, whatever else. And it can probably populate all 50 contracts for you. And that'll save you hours of low-value work.
Yeah.
It's the sort of thing you normally give to a paralegal, but if you don't have a paralegal, well, you don't need one anymore.
You don't. We have these tools. I see sometimes on LinkedIn, people will put a post. They say like, I need a secretary to help me with my schedule. And I'm like, why don't you just use AI?
Well, did you see the news from Stripe today? They're firing 40%, well, they're making redundant 40% of their workforce purely because AI has made the other 60% so much more productive. It's the biggest workforce impact I've seen so far coming out of AI adoption.
Wow. So if you're in that 40%, you need to be upskilling.
Oh, they're getting 20 weeks plus of severance, career outplacement services. It's a very generous package they're getting. Good on you to Jack, the CEO. But still, it's a sign of the times to come. And not every company will be that generous.
No. So I guess my advice is to people, if you're doing something that can be easily done by a computer, stop it. You need to be proactive. You need to be I would automate that myself. You don't just wait for somebody else to come automate your job away. You automate that, and then you go find something else that actually adds value. Because I know people like to say that AI is going to be taking people's jobs, and I'm like, they didn't really have a job anyway. It's more like the AI is revealing that the person was adding no value. They're just doing this busy work that a computer could do.
Yeah, well, spreadsheets are good of accountants.
Yeah. So even as a lawyer, like, looking up law and reviewing cases, a computer can
easily. I'd say legal research is still where AI is the weakest. Compared to drafting or summarizing, research is still the weakest area. because of the hallucination risk. I mean, every week there's another case coming out where someone's got hallucinated citations in their brief and they're getting fined by the judge for it. But those people should know better, because it doesn't matter if it comes from an AI or from a junior associate or from a paralegal. Check the work before you sign it. You learn that in law school.
Isn't that the whole point of lawyers being certified? It's so that you can punish them for doing the wrong stuff.
And if anything, the penalties aren't high enough. Like, they're getting fined like $5,000 or whatever. It should be a lot more. It should be mandatory CPD.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think that do we want AI to eventually replace that kind of work? And then what happens when the AI messes up? There's nobody to punish.
Well, again, with any professional field like law or financial planning or medicine, there's always a human who's accountable, who has to have, this is something I keep raising when people talk about AI automating stuff. It's like, AI doesn't have professional indemnity insurance. If something goes wrong, you can't sue the AI. So there still has to be a human accountable. And that's one of the core philosophies that Applied AI has over in Opus, actually. So every regulated workflow has to have a human in the loop, because there has to be someone who's accountable for the decision.
So then my philosophy, then, if you want to have a human in the loop, you need to augment their skills.
Yeah.
You're not replacing them. You are, it's more like AI is no longer an output, it's an input for the human to go do something further. They're not just outsourcing their brain.
No, that's how hallucinations happen when you try doing that.
Yeah.
And the other issue is, like, if you want to use legal research as an example, most case law is not publicly available. You should be using Lexis AI or Thomson Reuters AI, because they actually have access to the databases. Where's ChatGPT going to get case law from? It's not going to be able to find it, and then it's just going to make it up.
Yeah.
There's a specific tool for every use case. Well, general purpose AIs are extremely valuable. When you're talking about specialized research, you need to think about the data set the AI has access to. Does it actually have access to the sources that you want to find? Probably not. And it's not just legal. Like, for example, if you're doing research for a journal article or something, most journals are behind paywalls. The AI is not going to find that.
It'll just make stuff up.
Which is where RAG is a workaround. Download the articles, feed it to the AI, and ask the AI to summarize it.
So what other advice do you have for people who want to get started, want to be using this better?
Learn the basics. Like, prompt engineering as the term's gone out of fashion, because it's kind of just the baseline now, but learn the basics of prompt engineering is my most key piece of advice. That involves stuff like persona prompting, chain of thought prompting, RAG. Again, Vanderbilt University's Coursera courses go through this in depth, and they're free to access, to at least audit. And treat AI like you would a very intelligent, very fast, but somewhat reckless junior associate or junior, whatever your field is, junior marketer, personal assistant, whatever you want to call it, which means trust but verify.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing then is you can't just trust what you're getting out of the AI, and whatever you do get from the AI, you need to be in a position to be able to evaluate it yourself. Because like, it's going to look amazing and it looks reliable, but if you don't have the expertise to test it, you don't know.
Yeah, which is why people talk about live coding replacing engineers. It's like, no, people who are going to make the most use of AI coding tools are the engineers, because they can go off and 10x their work, and they actually know what to look for in the output. If you're like me and have no coding experience, you can ask AI to code you an app, and maybe it works well at first instance, but you have no idea what's going to go wrong with it. You don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah. So you're not afraid that AI is going to replace lawyers?
I'm under the impression that AI won't take your job, but someone who uses AI will.
But will a person be able to, I guess, a person who's not a lawyer, can they just open up ChatGPT and create their own contract? Call it good? I
mean, just like there are shitty lawyers out there, there are shitty contracts out there. So sure, they can do that, but it's not going to be... I mean, it's the wrong place to start anyway. Like there's so many resources out there for contract templates. Like as you said, if you can feed a template into the AI, it's going to do a much better job. Like most law firms will have standard form templates out there. I was talking about NDAs before. One NDA is a popular concept, which is like a standardized NDA that anyone can use. Stuff like that. If you can feed a template that's been drafted by a lawyer into the AI and ask it to change what you need to change, you're much better off than asking to draft a contract from scratch, particularly if you don't know how to contract.
And on top of that, there's like different laws in different jurisdictions.
Yeah.
So a template in California is going to be different than in UAE.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a German lawyer reach out to me. She had been like a litigator for 20 years. And when ChatGPT came out, she wanted to pivot. She wanted to go into legal operations. So she took a course in prompt engineering for lawyers. She said it was 18 months, and she learned thousands of tricks how to prompt ChatGPT. And finally she's done with it. And she said, okay, I want to be improving legal processes for people. So I need to learn how to do this. I need to automate one of my own processes first. So she sat down at ChatGPT and she got ready to prompt it to automate one of her processes. And she goes, crap, I have no idea what to even automate. And so she reached out to me and she's like, I know how to use AI, but how do I automate a process? I don't even know what a process is. And I told her, that's where you need to start. You need to study about process. You need to be able to map out the different steps of what a process is. You can't just start with the tool. You have to start with your problem. And then
it doesn't require any specialized knowledge. It just requires a perspective shift.
Yeah.
The way I like to think of it is explain how you would do this to someone who has no context. Because you don't think about it when you're doing it because you have the context here, it's all on autopilot. Like if you're reviewing a contract, you don't think about, oh, I need to look at X, Y, and Z in that order. But if you were teaching someone how to do it, that's exactly what you tell them. Look at X, Y, and Z in this order.
Yeah. I guess most people don't have this imagination. They don't think of it in this perspective. They just think, I open a document and I do it. Well, what? What are you doing?
Well, again, it goes back to that metaphor I gave. Treat AI like a very skilled, very enthusiastic and fast junior. Exact same thing. If you want the AI to automate something, you have to teach it just like you would teach a junior, which is break it down step by step. Even if that's not how you think about it, it's how you have to teach it.
Yeah. So we need to become better teachers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I could go on and on about the issues with legal training and how sometimes the best partners are the worst mentors, but let's not get into that. That's a topic for another time.
So this is another thing. Like, how do we like there's different types of knowledge, and like one example is like riding a bicycle. If I was to tell you how to ride a bicycle and you've never ridden a bicycle, and then I give you a bicycle, it doesn't mean that you can actually ride it. There's certain knowledge that we have to experience in order to learn. And so like there's these different kinds of knowledge. Maybe there's certain kinds of knowledge that AI is just not fit for using it for those types of knowledge.
Well, I think that's where reinforcement learning comes in, like how self-driving works for reinforcement learning. It's not like you're prompting the AI, here's how you drive. It's being taught through feedback loops, which is like really how humans learn.
Wow. And I guess following this line of topic of legal education, how do you see it in the future then? How would you improve legal education? And like if we were to automate everything that the juniors do, there's always people saying like, how do you get the more experienced people if you have no juniors?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I'm in a weird place in that my first job, fully qualified, was as a head of legal, so I kind of had to jump in. I firsthand have experience with not having that training. I just learned by doing, but it's not for everyone, certainly. I'm not sure there's an easy solution.
How long ago was that?
5 years ago.
5 years. Okay.
I did have 3 years as a paralegal before then, when I was working directly for a general counsel. So that was good training.
Uh-huh. So I would think like there is a lot that you can learn on the job. You can learn it yourself. Even as a lawyer, there's no way that we know absolutely everything, right?
Never.
And I think a large part of what we do as lawyers isn't necessarily knowing the law, but it's to be that kind of an advisor to the business and to have that kind of mentality, you
It's
know,
always,
that you
always
can
funny.
have relationships with people, they trust you.
Like, I've never been at a law firm, but I have friends who have. And it's always funny when you have clients who refuse to pay for hours billed for research. They're like, oh, the lawyer should already know the law. It's like, that's just not how it works.
Wow. You got that from people?
Never happened to me personally. As I said, I've never been at a law firm, but I've heard it from other people, yeah.
Wow. I think this is another area, though, where human beings excel over the technology. Like at a certain point, people are paying lawyers to be like a trusted advisor. It's a relationship you have with somebody. It's you can call somebody at 3 a.m. and get assurance from them.
Yeah, it's about judgment. Like, what ways add the most value with judgment calls in areas of uncertainty?
Yeah. It's not always like there's so much data that comes from people in a room that you're not going to be able to feed that into an AI.
And what people don't realize is every legal decision is a game of probability. There's no such thing as 100% right, 100% wrong answer. Like, at most, you can be 99% confident that something will work. Maybe 99.99, but never 100.
Mm-hmm. And even a lot of times what we're doing with law is we're trying to align incentives and get people at least to go in the same direction. Yeah. And I think what we talked about previously, all these different departments have different incentives.
Yeah, and we both come from common law frameworks, which has judge-made law. And ultimately, that's another factor people need to think about, the human element. Like, you can have the strongest legal argument possible. If the judge doesn't like it, it's tough.
Yep.
And that's where AI will never, AI is never going to be able to litigate for us, I don't think. You can do a lot of work in litigation support, but it's never going to be able to litigate for us.
Would we even want it to?
Probably not.
We like having that human. On the other hand, it would be nice to get the human out so that we can have like complete equality and fairness, whatever that means.
Yeah, but then you don't have accountability because it's a black box.
And so all the people who wanted to have power and be able to like throw money at something, they're like, how can I do it? There's no lever. Well, this has been great. Any further thoughts, I guess, on creating tools that make the tool instead of focusing on an individual tool? How do we solve an entire class of problems instead?
Well, it all comes back to systems thinking. You need to take not just one step back. One step back is what you need to do to create the tool, but you need to take a further step back and go to a further level of abstraction. And it doesn't require specialized knowledge; it's just a shift in perspective.
And then you can go back even further.
I would have a question.
The whole legal system. What are we trying to accomplish with law? It's not necessarily contracts and these little like typos and little gotchas. That's not what we're going for. We're going for like a system of equity and predictability and something that increases trust among the parties so they can collaborate with each other. Yeah. What does that look like? That's going back many steps.
I do have a question for you as well on tools that make tools. And this is a kind of meta question. But what tools do you use to make the tools that make tools?
Imagination. is the absolute best tool that you can have.
Mhm.
Experience. Also, get out there and experience different things. Like I said, I studied computers before studying law. So that is just add more and more tools to your tool belt. You know, don't just be so hyper focused on something. Be able to like take experience, have an open mind.
And for everyone who's going to think that, oh, I can't go back to school now, it's too late. Again, Coursera, it's free. There's courses
Coursera,
on the edX is another example.
listen to podcasts.
Yeah. I think
You,
Harvard, Google, and MIT have all released free courses on AI. So if you don't want to go for a random university, you can get Ivy League education or Google level education for free.
mhm. And it doesn't mean that you have to know how to do everything yourself. You need
No,
to
you
be
just
able to, it just opens your imagination. So you're open, like, oh, there are issues that exist. And now you can have an intelligent conversation with somebody who can go build the tools for you. Like, I always tell people that AI is now the most amazing, incredible tool that you have available, but you have to be able to ask the right question.
Yeah.
The answers don't matter anymore. We all have access to the answers. What
Mhm.
matters now is the questions. So get better at asking questions.
Yeah. And again, you need to be familiar with the subject area to be able to use the AI right. My worst use of AI was I was doing an accounting module and I used AI to help build the P&L statement. And because I didn't know what I was looking at, I just barely passed. Compare that to when I use when I use AI for legal work, it's a completely different story because I know what I'm looking at.
Yeah. You have to know what you're looking at. So go look at stuff.
Indeed.
Like, why would I go look at something if I'm not interested? You have to become interested and curious. Go explore, find stuff out. It's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn. Um, and I guess also, if you're a manager of somebody and you want your team to be better at these tools, you need to show them that it's okay to explore and figure stuff out. When something like if Sarav was on my team and he went and built something and it didn't work out, you have to frame it like, oh, that's a learning. You don't say like, oh, Sarav, we're gonna have to fire you for making one mistake. Like,
I'm,
no, we
I'm
need to
fairly
allow this now.
that I'm fairly of the view that Claude's my favorite, as you can tell. But I'm fairly of the view that a Claude enterprise subscription should be mandatory for every company, just like Microsoft Office is or Google Suite. Like, there's no excuse not to have it.
Mm-hmm.
It's $20 per month per seat, $100 if you have heavy users. That's cheaper than Netflix, for Christ's
sake. Yeah.
And again, you want the enterprise version because that's got the data security and privacy built in.
Mm. I find myself I'm using them to figure out process. Like, give me the steps of how to do this, which databases exist, give me the code, and then I have the code and it does it. And I want reliability. I want it doing the same thing over and over and over again.
You're a more sophisticated user than the average office worker would be. So you need to have the safeguards in place for them because they're going to use it for all sorts of random stuff.
Yeah. But I'm focused more on the admin side.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't give me the email. What are all the inputs that I need in order to make the email, right? Because even if I know exactly how to make the right email, like it's if you don't have the right inputs, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I'm at that basic level, I guess. I'm like, I think that's like 85% of our work is this administrative stuff. Because when I was an in-house lawyer, most of my time wasn't legal. I would say most of my time was chasing emails and signatures.
Oh, yeah. Or
Figuring
even
out
stuff like,
who do I need to talk to.
to go back to my employment contract example, filling out an employment contract from a template does not require legal thinking. No. You're literally just changing a few fields. That's all you're doing.
Yeah. So if you're a lawyer and you're filling out this employment contract, you need to do
Well,
something
look,
different.
in-house, you've got no choice unless you bring on a paralegal or something. But nowadays, you don't have to do it yourself anymore.
No, empower your users. Put the guardrails in place that they can do it themselves. You don't need to be babysitting anymore.
Yeah. That's what I would have done next, actually. I reckon DocuSign Forms could have done an employment contract. It's the same thing as India. You just put it in the party, you put in the pay, you put in start date, equity, or whatever other employment bonuses they might have. There's like 6 or 7 different fields. That's all you need.
It's not that hard.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Well, I guess let's wrap it up. It's been great having you.
That's been a pleasure.
Discussion. I know we wanted to meet earlier, but it didn't work out for some reason. So it's enjoyable to me to be able to have chats with you, and then we use it in like a double way. It's like, let's meet and chat, but like let's make it so that it makes the podcast at the same time. And this is a great way of creating efficiency with tools and with your time.
Does LinkedIn save a recording this, by the way? Because if so, I'll post it to my feed.
It does. It does. And then I will I will convert this to YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well.
Ah, cool.
And so, yeah, this is a podcast for regular people. Because I do have these types of computer skills, I can go so far deep, but I'm also an advocate that you need to just know the basics. You need to start with the basics. It's not the tools. It's the person using the tool and their mindset.
No experience at all. Actually, that's a lie. When I was like 14, I did try learning Python for like 2 months, but I didn't have the patience to keep up.
Wow. I started at age 12. I started learning HTML. In fact, I have the book.
Learning from a book, that's really old school.
It's 1,000 pages. And I bought this when I was like 12 for $50 with my birthday money.
You got bullied a lot as a kid, didn't you?
I what?
You got bullied a lot as a kid, I'm guessing.
I was a nerd.
Yes.
And I started working for a local law firm.
Oh, nice.
Because at that time, HTML was a new technology. Nobody knew web pages or anything. But me at age 12, I got this book and I was able to do it. And so I got hired by a local law firm, which I think is crazy now. It'd be like hiring a 12-year-old to do your AI work. But hey.
Yeah, were you even legally old enough to work at 12?
Well, it wasn't official, and maybe there was an exchange of other types of value.
Fair enough.
But yeah, what a great experience. And so if you have a drive, if you're, even as a kid, if you've got drive and curiosity, you can do anything. And especially with the tools now, go and figure them out.
Yeah, knowledge is an infinite resource that's really available.
And it doesn't matter. I tell people all the time, imagination is more important than knowledge. This is a quote from Einstein. It's attributed to him. If you lack knowledge, you can go find the answer. The answer doesn't matter anymore. Anybody can go find the answer.
Yeah.
It's the questions. It's the curiosity that's more important right now. So be curious.
And knowing how to find the answer.
Well, you can.
But that comes from curiosity, knowing how to ask the right questions.
If you know what you're looking up, you can go find it.
Yeah.
All right, Saurav. Well, it's been great. And thank you so much for coming on.
No worries. Have a good night. Oh, it's daytime for you.
It is. I have a couple hours behind you. You are in the UAE and I'm in Amsterdam.
Oh, you're in Amsterdam. I thought you were in the US, but yeah, that's only a few hours behind. Lovely city.
Only a couple hours between us.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then I will wish the audience good luck, everyone, and happy automating.
Happy automating. See ya.